First tonight on our news weekend, with just days to go until the 5% VAT cut kicks in, the local price watchdog is on high alert, making sure businesses play by the rules. Plus, the culture minister breaks his silence on the biggest cultural controversy of the decade. Hear his thoughts on the Valley Boys Junkanoo group split and what it means for the heart of our cultural community. Plus, Fenty Beauty is turning heads and winning hearts with its refreshing product lineup. Now available in the Bahamas, our Daniel Miller will tell you, or should we say show you, how. Our news, the weekend edition, starts right now. Welcome to our news, the weekend edition. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Berthany McDermott. The 50% cut in value-added tax comes into effect in less than 48 hours, and businesses are making final preparations for the adjustment. Prime Minister Philip Davis made the announcement earlier this year, applying to all grocery store food items with a few exemptions. Some of these items include fresh fruits and vegetables, baby foods, lunch snacks, and frozen foods. Price Control Commission Chairman Randy Rolls says his team will be watching closely to ensure the upcoming reduction set for April 1st is properly implemented. Rolls says enforcement efforts have been stepped up ahead of the rollout.
Us, along with price control, we have been the bodies that's been in stores has increased tremendously. People are making sure that we look out for things like that, and consumers have been very helpful in terms of letting us know where the places are where they see a change or a drastic change in prices. And so it's going to take every consumer, every person to be a part of this, so that we can be all the watchdogs to make sure that consumers again receive the savings that every Bahamian has been looking forward to for a long time.
And Rolls says the efforts will go beyond New Providence.
Not necessarily only in Nassau, but throughout the Family Islands, because there are persons on the Family Islands, and I've seen it a lot online as well, where people are saying, listen, don't forget us, this place. And so it's not just Nassau-centric, but throughout the Bahamas, where we want the Bahamians to feel the impact of this VAT reduction in food prices.
And with the VAT cut coming, many are wondering if Bahamians will see significant savings. During our monthly sit-down interview with Group Head of Investments at RF Bank and Trust, David Slatter, he shared what he believes the impact will look like.
At the margin, right? So as we know what's going on globally, there's effectively a lot of uncertainty around potential tariff wars that will impact the Bahamas. Most of our stuff, if it doesn't come from the U.S., it flows through the U.S., and whether that, to what extent that'll impact prices locally is still to be determined, but it will impact prices, pushing them higher. So any little bit helps, but it's not going to be overly significant, I don't think. You know, my view is that we're seeing a slowing growth in the U.S. economy, the global economy, and the Bahamian economy. So as I've mentioned before, you know, it's time to be a little more frugal in how you plan your budget and how you spend your money. When you go to the food store, you will notice that the healthier foods are less expensive. So when you go through the produce aisle and you're buying your potatoes and onions and squash and pumpkin and all that it's actually a lot less expensive than when you go to the meat section. So maybe some change in the structure of one's diet. Maybe a slightly healthier diet would also help with the budget.
A new government initiative could help ease the burden for small business owners struggling with soaring prices. The Trade Diversification Program, recently launched by the Davis administration, aims to lower the cost of imported goods. As Prime Minister Philip Davis took to the streets of Fox Hill to speak with local entrepreneurs, one business owner says she is hopeful it could bring much-needed relief.
It has been difficult because prices have gone up drastically, about almost double from what was the norm prices.
For Patrice Williams, who runs a small convenience store in Fox Hill, rising costs have been a daily struggle. Like many local business owners, she's been hit hard by inflation and the global trade war between the U.S., Mexico, and China, pushing prices higher than ever. But relief may be on the way. The government's new Trade Diversification Program aims to cut food costs for Bahamians by sourcing goods from alternative markets.
I would hope that this would provide me with an opportunity to provide customers with cheaper prices on canned items, vegetables, and a whole lot of items to be able to better serve the community and to be able to cut costs so that persons can be more happier and feel comfortable when they come to shop.
Williams shared her story as Prime Minister Philip Davis highlighted the struggle small businesses face during his recent walkabout in Fox Hill. Bahamas Agriculture and Industrial Corporation Chairman Darren Pickstock was also on the journey. He stressed the urgency of finding cheaper supply options.
The idea is if I can bring items and goods directly from another source market like Brazil, it ought to be cheaper. There's no reason why a pallet of goods coming from the United States to the Bahamas is $300 per pallet, but coming from Barbados to the U.S. is $150 per pallet. And so something is definitely wrong with that. We are looking at the supply chain to see where we can cut out third-party middlemen.
At the conclusion of the walkabout, Prime Minister Davis pointed to a monopoly in the supply chain as a major obstacle for small businesses. But Bahamas Trade Commission Chairman Barry Griffin says government wants entrepreneurs to understand how the recently launched trade diversification program can help them. And with food prices still climbing, the success of this initiative could mean a big difference for businesses and consumers alike.
This is one of the government's most critical and crucial initiatives because the cost of living is beating absolutely everyone. And so the government is keenly aware of that.
Egg prices soaring and a global trade war driving costs even higher, the Bahamas Agriculture and Industrial Corporation is ramping up efforts to make the country self-sufficient in egg production through its Golden Yolk program. BAIC Chairman Darren Pickstock says the goal is clear: reduce reliance on imports and produce enough eggs locally to sustain the nation. A recent spike in egg prices forced the government and SuperValue to source alternatives from the Dominican Republic, but Pickstock says that's just a temporary fix.
While we are ramping up the Golden Yolk program currently, the program, as you know, we've given away currently 5,000 laying birds to BDOCs. We've given 3,000 laying birds to BAMSI. We've given laying birds to farmers, certain farmers, and we are ramping up that program while we are also producing and constructing the bigger program to significantly scale up what we are producing in terms of eggs.
Launched in 2023, the Golden Yolk program set out to slash the Bahamas' import bill by $12.5 million, and now officials say the impact is already being felt. The ambitious project aims to boost local egg production from 750,000 to more than 27 million eggs per year, reducing dependence on foreign suppliers. Pickstock says Bahamians aren't just waiting for results, they're already reaping the benefits.
The Golden Yolk program is a multifaceted program. It's not only BAIC through the Ministry of Agriculture building a chicken houses, right? It's a multifaceted program where we have our national layer program where we are giving eggs to farmers that are producing now, giving eggs to schools, and then we are contracting with those entities to sell back to entities like BAIC under the Golden Yolk program at a certain cost to the consumer that is lower.
And now to the wildfires in Grand Bahama. The major blaze has left more than 400 REV customers without service. According to technical manager Prince Thompson, crews were on the ground Saturday working to restore connections, but access to some areas remains a challenge. The fires, which ignited Friday, burned for hours, destroying derelict buildings and even a home. Thompson gave us this update on the situation.
Presently, we have just over 400 customers affected from the bushfire and the damages to our infrastructure. Right now, the team is out doing the initial assessment because yesterday we didn't have access to commence these necessary assessments, but that is ongoing. The guys are sending feedbacks in to advise on the areas where we would have had fiber damages, pole damages, etc., etc.
Once the Grand Bahama Power Company completes its assessments, Thompson says REV Tech teams will begin restoring services to impacted customers. The company also plans to provide humanitarian assistance to those affected by the fires. Meanwhile, Thompson shared this advice on fire mitigation.
I could recall years back where the power company, they would, to mitigate some of these damages, they would have easement cleared and also heavy brush area that was just under cable and telephone infrastructure. So when situations like this occur, we wouldn't have the amount of damages that we're seeing today.
Well, weeks after battling relentless blazes across multiple islands, exhausted fire services officers in New Providence got a well-deserved show of appreciation this past Friday. They were served a hot breakfast courtesy of the nation's leader.
I just wanted to express our appreciation for what they've done, the way they've put their own lives on the line to protect other lives and protect property, and we thought it was very important just to show our appreciation.
Prime Minister Philip Davis hosted the meal prepared by Chef Emmanuel Gibson of Manuelo's restaurant as a thank you for their sacrifice and dedication. It's been a brutal few weeks for fire services, with crews tackling massive blazes in New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Abaco. For Davis, the gesture is personal.
As I explained, my father was a fireman. He became the chief of the crash crew service, which is the fire department at the airport. My brother also worked as a fireman for many years before he exited this earth. And so I have an affinity and a deep appreciation for the work they do. And of course, it is what made me through the work of firemen.
Just Thursday, a major fire on Carmichael Road left the area impassable, while earlier this month, crews fought through the night to contain a raging inferno at a scrap metal yard. Now, Commissioner of Police Junkanoo says the force is working to equip the department with new tools to strengthen its response. She adds that the Prime Minister's recognition brought a boost of morale for the officers.
At a time like this, when these men are challenged with the weather conditions and sometimes with equipment, that the Prime Minister could come in and say to them that we understand the work that you do, we understand the challenges you have. It certainly eases their burdens and their fears.
When our News Weekend returns, the North Abaco MP says he will be seeking re-election in 2026. He shares why he believes Abaconians should put their trust in him. And we'll tell you the ripple effect of the Valley Boys Junkanoo group split and why the Culture Minister says it's more than just an internal division. That's coming up when our News Weekend returns.
Diet-friendly special.
Family, how you look so down? Set up all cold and flu, could flip that frown. All the coughing and that runny nose cannot last. You must come back to work and class. Set them all can deal with that fast, yeah. Try set them all cold and flu, daytime and nighttime too. Try Setamol, cold and flu, and get back to the better you. Available at pharmacies nationwide.
Distributed by Lowe's Wholesale Drug Agencies Limited.
North Abaco Member of Parliament Kirk Cornish putting speculation to rest, confirming he'll run for re-election in the next general election. It comes after a term marked by controversy, including last year's court battle where he was acquitted of rape, assault, and death threat charges, and his now infamous self-proclaimed title as Prime Minister of Abaco. Cornish, who unseated former Foreign Affairs Minister Darren Henfield by just 259 votes in 2021, explained Friday why he believes he's still the right man for the job.
I will. I'm showing my hand in the race. I'm an Abaconian. I live with my people. I know their needs, concerns. I don't give false hope. I don't pretend. I don't promise for things that I cannot fulfill. I'm of good character. My people and I have that relationship. So yeah, I will offer myself again.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio found himself in the hot seat Wednesday after recently leaked government group chat raised security concerns. The issue overshadowed Rubio's high-level meeting in Kingston, Jamaica, with Prime Minister Andrew Holness, which was meant to focus on regional security, economic ties, and Haiti's crisis. American media outlets recently reported how a reporter was mistakenly added to a private U.S. government chat on the encrypted app Signal, sparking questions about information security. Pressed about the blunder during a press conference, Rubio admitted the mistake.
Obviously, someone made a mistake. Someone made a big mistake and added a journalist. Nothing against journalists, but you ain't supposed to be on that thing. So they got on there and this happened. I've been, so I can speak to myself or my presence on it. I think my role on it was just speaking for my role. I contributed to it twice. I identified my point of contact, which is my chief of staff. And then later on, I think 3 hours after the White House's official announcements had been made, I congratulated the members of the team. I've been assured by the Pentagon and everyone involved that none of the information that was on there, though not intended to be divulged, obviously that was a mistake and that shouldn't have happened, and the White House is looking at it, but that none of the information on there at any point threaten the operation or the lives of our servicemen. And in fact, it was a very successful operation.
Rubio also clarified whether the information was classified.
The Pentagon says it was not. And not only did they say it was not, they make very clear that it didn't put in danger anyone's life or the mission. There was no intelligence information. And understand, when this story first broke, they were sort of alluding to were there war maps, or there was no war plans on there. This was a sort of description of what we could inform our counterparts around the world when the time came to do so. Again, look, I think the White House is looking at this entire thing. How did that journalist get on there? Why was this the appropriate? And I think there'll be reforms and changes made, so this was not going to happen again.
Back here at home, as the bitter dispute between two factions of the Valley Boys drag on, Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture Mario Boleg warns that the months-long standoff could have a lasting impact on Bahamian culture and the people involved. At the center of the dispute is a claim to the group's name. Earlier this month, the Supreme Court lifted an injunction that had prevented the world-famous Valley Boys from being removed from the register of non-profit organizations. Following the ruling, the Way Forward Valley Boys, led by Trevor Davis, declared victory, arguing the decision affirms their right to the Valley Boys name. However, the world-famous Valley Boys, led by Brian Adderley, pushed back, insisting the court did not order or direct them to change their name. With both sides standing firm, Boleg says the fallout could extend beyond Junkanoo, affecting the cultural fabric.
Persons who are involved in Junkanoo are very passionate about their craft and what they do and their involvement inside it. So it has had a impact on those individuals personally and also the culture. But at the end of the day, again, when you look at it, all who are involved still has a great passion for the greater good of Junkanoo.
But the Valley Boys dispute isn't the only issue rocking the Junkanoo community. Following the Boxing Day and New Year's Day Junkanoo parades, several A groups have spoken out, calling the judging process unfair and raising concerns about other issues affecting the parade. We put the issue to the Culture Minister, who had this to say.
Normally we have a post-mortem meeting. JCMP just had their election, and so again, there has been new executives elected. They have requested this courtesy call. We will do that along with all stakeholders and have a post-mortem to try to correct anything for the greater good, again, for improving Junkanoo. There are always rooms for improvement, so there will be complaints here and there, whether it's logistics, whether it's something relating to the rules or whatever aspect it is, but it's our job to continue improving each year so that not only the participants appreciate it, but definitely the fan base and the Bahamian people could appreciate it.
Still to come on Our News Weekend, have you found the perfect match yet? Danielle Miller has the details on an award-winning cosmetic line that may be the perfect fit. But first,
it was bombs away in the Bronx for Jazz and the Pinstripe Gang. We'll talk about their historic date next on Our Sports Weekend.
Diet-friendly special.
Family, how you look so down? Set up all cold and flu, could flip that frown. All the coughing and that running nose cannot last. You must come back to work and class. Set up all can deal with that fast, yeah. Try set up all cold and flu, daytime and nighttime too. Try Tricetamol, cold and flu, and get back to the better you. Available at pharmacies nationwide.
Distributed by Lowe's Wholesale Drug Agencies Limited.
Good evening, welcome to Our Sports Weekend. I'm Tej Adderley. Jazz and the Yankees put on a pyrotechnic display of historic proportions yesterday as they routed the Milwaukee Brewers 20-9. Here's what happened. Jazz and the boys treated the Brew Crew like batting practice, hitting 9 home runs, a record for the most in a game for the historic franchise, and one off the record of 10 set by the Toronto Blue Jays in 1987. Brewers pitcher, former Yankee Nestor Cortez, may have had the worst day of his career as he watched Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, who was also Bahama by marriage, if you don't know, look it up, and Aaron Judge knocked the first 3 pitches he threw out of the yard. Austin Wells added another home run, and that was just the first inning. Jazz contributed to the group project in the bottom of the third with a 442-foot rocket to right field. He also had a single and he scored on one of the many home runs hit during the day. Anthony Volpe and Austin Wells also went yard, and big Aaron Judge added 2 more home runs and a double to cap off a monster 8 RBI day. Wow, that was a lot. We're only 2 games into the season. The Jazz and the Yanks played their final game of the 3-game set against the Brewers earlier today. Those highlights are on our social media pages. Now we're over to the pitch where private schools are in win or go home mode. The Bahamas Association of Independent Secondary Schools playoffs continued at the Roscoe A. Davies Field on Friday. In the senior boys division, St. John's fought St. Andrews to a 1-1 stalemate before St. Andrews prevailed 3-2 in PKs. And Issa Borna had a hat trick to lead the way for Life at Key and a 4-0 senior girls win over St. Andrews. The playoffs will continue this week at RALD. That is a wrap for sports this evening for Our Sports Weekend. I'm Tej Adderley. Have a great week.
Thanks, Tej. Still to come on Our News Weekend, is your makeup ready for the Bahamian heat? Coming up, our Danielle Miller shares more about the beauty brand that's making waves right here in the Bahamas. If you've ever wondered how to keep your makeup flawless in our heat and humidity, stay tuned for how the products are changing the game for Caribbean skin. And speaking of heat, a look at your extended weather forecast is still to come when Our News Weekend returns.
Diet-friendly special.
Family, how you look so down? Set up all cold and flu, could flip that frown. All the coughing and that running nose cannot last. You must come back to work and class. Set up all can deal with that fast, yeah. Try set up all cold and flu, daytime and nighttime too. Try Setamol, cold and flu, and get back to the better you. Available at pharmacies nationwide.
Distributed by Lowe's Wholesale Drug Agencies Limited.
Welcome back to Our News Weekend. Partly cloudy skies outside the Our News studio with comfortable winds. Meteorologist Ian McKenzie is back with this week's forecast. Ian.
Thanks, Berthany, and good evening, Bahamas. Welcome to your Sunday evening forecast. Pretty comfortable day across the country. A little on the humid side for some. Outside our studios right now, we're under partly cloudy skies with a temperature of 77. Feels like the same winds are from the east-northeast at 10 miles per hour. Across the country at this time, we have 77 in the nation's second city, Freeport, as well as in Great Harbor Key and in Governor's Harbor, and also in the capital, 78 in Nicholstown, 75 in Allenstown, 76 on the rain, cool temperatures in Marsh Harbor. Central Bahamas, we have 78s in Camps Bay, as well as in Coburn Towns in Salvador, 76 in Arthurstown, 79 in Georgetown, and 80 in Deadman's Key, Long Island. Southeast Bahamas, 79s continuing in Junkanoo, 80 in Providenciales, as well as Delectable Bay, and in Colonel Hill, Crooked Island, 78 in Abraham's Bay, Maguana, and the hotspot, as usual, Matthew Town coming in at 81. Satellite and radar at this time, we have a mid to upper level disturbance moving across Florida. This should advect some moisture, meaning wind-driven moisture. This should translate into some isolated showers, possible thunderstorm activity, mainly across the extreme northwestern islands of Abaco and Grand Bahama tonight and even possibly into tomorrow. Some lingering moisture expected to affect portions of the capital tomorrow. Boarding forecasts across the northwest Bahamas still on the bit stiff side. Wind should fall off through tomorrow. We have an advisory in place due to those swells. Wind southeasterly at 15 knots, seas 3 to 5, but up to 9 feet offshore in those easterly swells. High tide at 9:36 p.m., low tide at 4 a.m. tomorrow. Central and southeast Bahamas, still breezy out there. Winds east to southeast 15 to 25 knots, seas 5 to 8, but up to 9 feet in those swells. Here's a look now at your extended forecast. Monday through Tuesday, we expect some frontal rain associated with a front. Not much in terms of coolness with that front that should skirt off to the east of our area. Wednesday through the remainder of the week, high pressure building across our area again. Breezy conditions expected. Those high temperatures only mid-80s, low temperatures in the low 70s. That's a wrap in the evening forecast. Make it a great, safe, fun week, everyone.
Thanks, Ian. Have you found your perfect match yet? We're talking about your cosmetics. Last year, a popular beauty line made its debut in the region, and we were curious if all the commotion was worth the hype. In our final story tonight, Danielle Miller tells us it's the secret to a flawless look.
For years, I've had people come up to me and ask, why your makeup don't move? And the answer is simple: Fenty. Fenty Beauty, founded by global icon Rihanna, has quickly gained a loyal following thanks to its inclusivity, stunning packaging, and flawless foundation. In case you missed it, last year we covered the official launch of Fenty Beauty in the Bahamas, hosted by John Bull Limited. Hashtagged Fenty Caribbean, this launch put an end to me personally having to stock up on my Fenty supply every time I traveled. The event was a homecoming of sorts, celebrating Rihanna's Bayesian roots while ensuring the brand resonates with the Caribbean woman. Keisha Campbell is marketing and digital manager at John Bull.
She knows what our climate looks like. She knows how our skin responds to makeup and skincare. So you don't have to be intimidated to try the Fenty products.
Fenty is now available at John Bull's Bay Street, Southwest, and Marathon locations. And Keisha says they've seen dozens of first-time Fenty customers being amazed by the products. Even our digital manager, Ricky Barry, who I managed to get into the specialist chair to find her perfect shade match.
To be honest, I'm a person that rarely does makeup. I don't really like too much makeup. I don't like it on me. I don't like looking like I'm wearing makeup. And I don't know if y'all could tell, but half of my face has on foundation right now. I don't know if you could see it. I don't know if you could tell which side. I can tell y'all which side, but half of it does. But Danielle brought me here. I was supposed to be here for work. She have me in the chair getting makeup done. All right.
You don't come to the Fenty counter without getting your shade match. Reporting for Our News, I'm Danielle Miller. You look good, y'all.
Thanks, Danielle, and thank you for joining us for Our News Weekend on behalf of the entire team. I'm Berthany McDermott. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Make it a great week, everyone.
Danielle here. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see more great content, be sure to hit that notification button and follow the team you already trust.